The water went down enough today around the area of 19th Avenue and Northern to allow some people to go in and take out some more of their belongings because they knew if the rains came again, the water would be right back up in their homes. With the water down, it was easy to see some of the damage to the streets and houses in the area. Some people were moving their belongings out, anticipating more flooding, while others tried to clean up, hoping that the water would not come back. Along the Salt River today, the water had gone down some and people were returning to their homes. The Salt River Project stopped releasing water early today to give the authority a chance to inspect its dams. Now more water is being released again at a lower rate. The water will be rising some along the Salt and Gila rivers tonight, even if it does not rain. So the Sheriff's Department warns people against having a false sense of security.
The river rising and falling if it's falling, doesn't mean it won't come back up again. So it isn't worth it to go back in at this point. Would be my advice.
Did the police tell you to leave everything?
No, they just told us to evacuate.
What time limit did they give you?
30 minutes.
In general, people who were affected by high water before should take precautions again. Listen to weather reports, use sandbags, be prepared to move out, and call the emergency information numbers if you have any questions. Catherine Smith, Cool News 10.
This little piece of real estate is a city street in Mesa that's causing city fathers to catch a little winter heat from a group of residents. Broadway Road from Val Vista to Lindsay is under construction, and it's been proclaimed a disaster by the manager of a mobile home park. Hal Graham is battling a war against mud, and so far his most effective tool has been this little tractor. But that just hasn't been enough. It all started when the weather turned sour, making the slippery muck and mud an obstacle course that at times couldn't even be traveled over. Last night, for instance, neighbors say the road was blocked by several trucks, and according to the manager of the Castillo Nuevo Mobile Home Park, blocking the only way out just isn't the thing to do.
It's the only access for anybody. We have 302 coaches in here, approximately 600 people. And this is the only entranceway or exit way. It was right here on Broadway.
And you're concerned about that?
Darn right we're concerned.
Well, that concern has led to many calls and letters to city fathers and the construction company involved here. According to these mud victims, the only relief so far has been 2 truckloads of gravel, and that quickly disappeared as the rain continued to fall. The Mesa Police Department did, according to Mr. Graham, have a backup plan just in case.
From the police department, we were told that if there was an emergency and they couldn't get in, they would come in and relieve it with a helicopter if somebody had to go to the hospital or something along in that respect.
If residents can weather the storm, so to speak, until tomorrow, a check with the city of Mesa reveals that relief in the form of more gravel is on the way by the contractor. And more good news seems to be a forecast of better weather. The already soggy days, says the contractor, has delayed completion until about the middle of February. So if everything holds up and goes according to plans, residents will soon be breathing good old dust again. Jerry Foster, Cool News 10.
I'm driving up to an intersection here and the light's red, so I'm going to come to a stop. Everybody knows that you're supposed to stop at red lights and just wait for it to turn green again before you go. But a recent traffic study shows that Phoenicians violate the red light law in Phoenix at least 100,000 times a day.
A 6-month study by the City Traffic Engineering Department at 10 high-volume intersections around Phoenix showed that motorists are consistently breaking the law. It's that frustrating left turn situation, as usual, that's the source of the problem. But City Traffic Engineer Don Morgan explains that motorists going through yellow lights are making the situation worse.
As you now approach the intersection, practically every intersection signalized in the city is marked with a crosswalk. That white stripe on a crosswalk nearest to your vehicle is the guideline for a red light violation. If you cross that line on an amber, you're legally allowed to clear the intersection. If you cross that line, once the light has gone red, you are in violation of the law and subject to arrest. It's symptomatic of our entire transportation problem and the lack of facilities we have. It is related to the left turn problem, no doubt about it, because of the speed, the concern of the motorists. You see, if the guy turning left gets hit, he gets the bag. It's not the guy who's coming through on the red, because nobody saw that when the accident happened. And this kind of thing we pick up in these studies.
So, the City Council has given the okay to a program to educate drivers on what is and what is not proper when approaching, going through, or getting stuck in the middle of a busy intersection. But in the meantime, the city will also apply for a federal grant which would fund manpower for the police department to go after those 100,000 or so red light violators. Mike Era, Cool News 10.
The Westward Ho will be half a century old this year, and time has brought many changes. If you were to check in here today, you may have the key that would unlock the suite where President John F. Kennedy once slept. He and his White House staff once occupied the entire 14th floor. And there were other famous visitors, Harry James, Jack Benny, and oh yes, another familiar face. The hotel is taking on monthly residents now, and while they most likely take it for granted, the Westward Ho was once the only air-conditioned hotel in the valley, and its owners claim it was also the very first high-rise. From the top floor of the hotel, the Westward Ho once shared the company of only the Lures and the Adams. But looking downtown today, it has since got some stiff competition. And speaking of competition, its new owners say they're going to spend a couple of $1 million on the hotel to bring back some of its customers.
Well, we hope to restore it back to what it was years ago, when it was really doing very well. And that is our aim, to get it right back to a real high-class hotel. This is a landmark. Anyone would be proud to own the landmark, the Westward Ho landmark. To me, that was one of the main reasoning for getting it.
And now let me take you to a part of the Westward Ho you'll probably never get a chance to see. Come on up. You are standing on the roof of the Westward Ho, and I know I'm high up here because there are pigeons flying below me. If you want to go any higher, you take it from here. Nancy Williams, Cool News 10.
The controversy is, which is the oldest high-rise hotel with air conditioning in Phoenix? Recently, the Westward Ho claimed that distinction, but now the San Carlos, in the spirit of friendly rivalry, begs to differ.
But we understand they claim that they are the oldest high-rise existing building in downtown Phoenix, and that really isn't a fact. The San Carlos is the oldest Phoenix high-rise elevator, oldest high-rise air-conditioned building remaining in Phoenix, Arizona.
The issue may really be academic. The San Carlos opened in March of 1928. The Westward Ho was only several months later. Both buildings are undergoing a $1 million plus renovation in their 50th year. Mr. Malekian says he sees a revival of the downtown area.
More and more people, among other reasons, the energy crisis and the high cost of gas are going to be moving closer in town. There is a movement already to come closer in. The day of the outlying areas, I think, is ending.
Malekian said his hotel and the Westward Ho can offer tradition and a flavor of the old days of Phoenix. I'm standing on the roof of the San Carlos Hotel. As you can see, we're surrounded on all sides by buildings that are taller. So the San Carlos can't claim distinction as the highest. Instead, it must content itself with being the first high-rise hotel with air conditioning and elevators. Roger Gadley, Cool News 10, the San Carlos Hotel.
We're on our way to Councilman Billy Gentry's house. She's a Scottsdale councilman, and we were here to talk to her about the confusing street names in McCormick Ranch. We got lost. We picked up one of these maps here to look for her street. It's Via de Lindo. We found Via Linda. We realized that's not the street she lives on, and we are now on our way to the correct street, Via de Lindo. Hope we can find it. I couldn't help but feel sorry for any emergency personnel who, while rushing to a McCormick Ranch address, gets lost in this mess. Imagine pulling up to this intersection, Via Paseo del Norte and Via Paseo del Norte. Now that street should not be confused with Via Taz Norte. And if you are looking for something on Via Mañana, don't get it mixed up with Via Montana. This sort of complexity exists throughout McCormick Ranch, confusing street names, curving streets, and cul-de-sacs. Another example, Via Linda and Via de Lindo, where Councilwoman Gentry lives. That looks like the one. Okay. Via de Lindo, that must be it. Well, we finally found Mrs. Gentry's place, and she told us that the street names have been a continuing source of concern for Scottsdale city leaders. This week, Councilwoman Gentry will propose a plan to make things less confusing in the new phase of McCormick Ranch. Everything west of Hayden Road will begin with San, and everything east will begin with Del, and the streets will be in alphabetical order.
police department has endorsed this plan, and the fire department has looked at it, you know. So I do feel it will help the residents here. Another idea that Councilman Hink has recommended is that large maps of the streets be placed around the complete ranch, so that if you come up on a map, you can stop and see where you are and locate the street that you want to go to.
But in the existing Phase 1, there have been a few emergency close calls, have there not?
Yes, there have. And I believe that our emergency services are just going to have to really learn the street layout here.
So take the advice of someone who knows. If you're in McCormick Ranch and have never been there, stop off at the information center, if you can find it, and get a map. Mike Ara, Cool News 10.
This is the new facility that will house the Air Rescue Unit. It was built for DPS by the city of Mesa, and compared to their old quarters, which was a mobile home, it's a palace. In past years, the Air Rescue Unit has operated with 7 two-man crews and 2 jet helicopters, 24 hours a day, rain or shine. This year, the unit will nearly double in personnel and add yet another helicopter.
When we originally started in 1972, the legislature mandated that we provide emergency air ambulance and emergency medical services to the entire state. And they gave us 5 crews and 2 aircraft to do that. We didn't have the resources to do 100% of the job 100% of the time. The increase is to allow us to provide a full-time service in the southern part of the state and still provide service here. And hopefully we have budgeted for an additional aircraft and crews for a full-time operation, hopefully July of next year.
If you think these guys haven't been busy, listen to last year's activity. They flew 145 separate search and rescue missions for law enforcement agencies all over the state. A total of 446 medical flights evacuated 377 people, many of whom medical experts say would have died without the highly trained DPS helicopter paramedics. The crews flew 418 other various law enforcement missions. Many of the daring rescue missions could have been right out of a Hollywood movie script. Flights into rugged remote areas where rotor blade clearance was just inches from trees and rocks. Rescue flights like this one are almost a daily occurrence. The key to the success of the DPS air rescue effort has been the one item that comes first and foremost, and that's safety. And 10,000 hours of flight time with no accidents or incidents is testimony of a job being well done. Jerry Foster, Cool News 10.